Hello and welcome to the Animator's Shake-Up, a webcast where animators talk about animation. On this episode of Animator's Shake-Up, I speak with Tom and Jacob, a writing, animator, voice actor duo. Tom and Jacob love to step into absurdist comedy and make silly animations for it. Why not listen along while you work on your own animations and have us for company? So sit back, relax, as we shake it up with some fellow animators on the Animator's Shake-Up. Hello and welcome to the Animator's Shake-Up. Today I'm joined by Tom and Jacob. How are you guys doing?
Help me!
Oh no!
I'm so bad stuck in a computer. Help me!
Well, I hope these milkshakes cure whatever ailment is going on in front of me right now. Gosh, I mean, what on earth did you two go for? Because I'm presuming you've had to like combine your flavors into one single drink. So
that's true.
What did each of you go for?
That's a good point. Tom, what did you go for first?
I don't really like milk.
Okay.
That's all right. What did you put in?
No, I like strawberry.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my choice was anything peanut butter related. So like I usually go for like a Reese's Pieces milkshake.
Oh yes.
So if I can like have the time and effort to like blend up Reese's Pieces into a milkshake.
You know what? Let's just have that. That sounds better.
Well,
Well, it's too late now.
With
You already asked
strawberry.
for it.
We can put that with strawberry, and I think that would work. Maybe.
You know what you've got? You've got like just you haven't got any milk in this. It's just strawberries.
Yeah, it's just
and
shake.
Reese's Pieces just blended.
Whatever lessens your lifespan is a good milkshake. I think that's the statement there.
That's some uranium.
Yeah.
A lovely uranium shake.
Yeah.
IRL, right?
Yeah. We didn't actually have to really animate anything for this character. This is just how we look on a day-to-day basis.
It's just webcam. This is just webcam live.
With fused.
I went with something a little bit on season because we're recording this in December time, and this is like a really specific flavour, and I don't know whether you two have experienced this in the same kind of way that I have, but there is to me anyway, there is a really particular flavour with Christmas advent calendars. Like the cheap ones. Do you know what I mean by this?
The cheap chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a taste to it that you can't replicate anywhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like the issue is that to perfectly date this podcast, in 2024, money has just gone. It's just gone. It doesn't exist anywhere.
It's gone. It's evaporated.
Any capacity in the world anymore. And so all these cheap calendar chocolates, like they don't exist because they couldn't even produce the chocolate cheap enough. So what I had to do this year was I was like going around trying to find this ultimate cheap chocolate advent calendar. So I like found a cheap £2 Cadbury's Dairy Milk one, and I was like, oh wicked, sure. I gave it a go, and it's just dairy milk, you know. It's not that cheap chocolate. And to me that was like, I just don't have nostalgia anymore with this. And so I went to Poundland on like the 3rd of December, or was it 4th of December, and they had all their calendars on discount. It's like, this has got to be it. You know, you've got to find the real cheap stuff, and that is the beautiful flavour that reminds me of Christmas. And there's one for 50p. I picked that up. And when I got home, I was like, right, here we go. We're day 3 or day 4 in. We'll give this a shot. And first of all the chocolates had fallen out of this really cheap calendar, just fallen to the bottom of all the numbers. And then when you had one, it was like chalk. I don't know.
It was too much.
It was too cheap, you know. So that sweet spot was lost.
You met your hero, and it was too strong.
It bested me, Tom.
Yeah.
It bested
Too
me.
much nostalgia.
There must be like like branded ones that have really cheap shit chocolate in. Like there must be like a Minions calendar that sells like really awful chocolate in them, or like a I don't know, like another brand, like a Bionicle or something. There must be like a Bionicle Lego calendar that has like really cheap shitty chocolate in it.
That has bits of Bionicle in the chocolate.
Like just bits of plastic in it.
A cog.
A cog.
Yeah, or the head of a Rakshi. Alright?
Though by the end, though, you'd be able to build a full Bionicle.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
Yeah, once it's passed.
Yeah. There was when I was a kid, there was like this dream Lego advent calendar. Of course, it wasn't like edible, but it was like we went to this toy shop with my parents when I was out and about, and I saw this calendar, and every day had like a little thing that you could make out of Lego, and eventually you'd be left with this lovely little Christmas scene. But it was like £25. My parents were like, no.
Yeah.
And then it was back to the beautiful cheap chocolate. To be fair, so I wasn't mad.
With those Lego calendars, they seem to have to advertise everything that's in the calendar.
Yeah,
so there's no surprise. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I think the worst advent calendar I ever got was when I was like, probably in my like, just after I was 10. Instead of getting a chocolate one, like I got a Jesus of Nazareth like calendar, and every door you opened up was like a little tapestry, like a see-through, like just like what's it, like the stained glass window kind of stuff you see in the churches. And you'd be like, look, if you look through, you can see like a little drawing of like one of the people who were at the birth of Jesus, or like one of the three women. And I just remember being like, this is the worst thing like ever. I'm sure like if like a few years later on, I'll be like, oh, that's quite nice. Like that's quite a cool calendar. But I was like, I'm not ingesting like cheap chocolate, so the magic's kind of gone.
Can I tell you something sweet that me and my family are playing at the moment? Because my mum and dad have that kind of calendar at theirs, so every day we try and guess the photo, and that's the game. That's the whole story.
What are the
is it the one behind the door?
Yeah. So today's guesses were there's nothing funny or interesting about this. Today's choices were a Christmas lamb,
classic,
holly bush. I said a frog because I like to, subvert my family's expectations and disappoint them, and a candle.
As in, it was a candle, or those are the guesses.
That was the fourth guess. Shall I find out what it was?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe
know.
Maybe we'll read it out at the end.
Oh, yes, keep that retention.
What if you got like a text at the end just to like the house's birthday?
Yeah.
So you have to come home immediately.
She's gone.
She's gone.
Gosh. I thought with your calendar, Jacob, I thought where you were going to go with that was behind each door was one of those pieces of like communion bread. Just
a crumb, just a little crumb.
They split it perfectly over 24
on the
days.
On the 25th, it's just a nozzle with some wine in it.
Yeah. That'd be nice. I used to.
Sorry, it's one of those. It's one of those soy sauce fishes.
Yeah.
You can dip
with
the bread in
Merlot
at the end. It's just oil.
Croutons.
It's just a corner of a crouton for 25 days and a bit of oil at the end.
Oh dear. That is, what could be the worst Christmas calendar? Oh man. Oh gosh. Well, but to bring us back on topic, we are animators, voice actors, creators. Oh, tell us a bit about you guys. What are you? Tell us about you.
Sorry, I don't know why I sighed so loudly. Just the fear of having to talk. Well, we met about 2 years ago, and just found that the same sort of thing makes us laugh. So started writing and just hanging out, and then we actually worked together on our first thing with writing trying to write a pilot comedy series, and then in that process we ended up just sending each other nonsense voice recordings back and forth, and then one that Jacob sent over, I was just like, this is spot on, I'm going to animate this, and that's what the Terry Wilkinson animation became.
Excellent.
So
I love that.
I think, yeah, I mean, my coming from it from just a bit before, because I started off as being a writer. Like, I went to uni to do like screenplay writing, and then I loved watching animation and animated films, but then when I got to Brighton and finding the Brighton Animation Club and meeting all these talented people and just kind of understanding the industry like a lot more, falling in love with all these like talented people, and then Tom was kind of the first person I've really met who was really in that kind of world that I got to know very well. So it was that nice mix of being able to like write something or kind of like articulate something that someone could then really easily like illustrate and like kind of visualize, because I think that's like the hardest thing, especially like when I was writing, you would always want to try and keep it like semi in the real world, because at the end of the day, like, I didn't know any animators, so it was always kind of like, this is going to have to be filmed like in real life, so I can't exactly go too far with it like starting off, but then having that ability to have someone go like, right, that's exactly like, I can illustrate that the way you're describing it. And I think that's what the voice memo started to become a lot more chaotic, and that's where like the interest in voice acting started to come in as well, because we were relying really on just like how we said things over voice memos, and like if there was something was funny, it would be because of a particular way that we said it, or like the character was saying it, which then just, I think with Terry Wilkinson was a good example, because I kind of just did this voice of this like really sick child that was
Well, it sounds like this.
Yay!
I was very, very ill at the time, and I just thought it'd be funny to like record this child that's like basically on death's door, but is just starting a YouTube channel, which is like, which is why I think me and Tom get on, because I think we have that kind of very similar dark comedy like aspect to the writing, and like even like the animating perspective of it as well. Like, if you look at Terry, he's not an attractive person. He's not a good looking.
Well, now.
well, he's
and who is Terry based on?
Terry, from a voice perspective, I mean, Terry is. I'm not going to say his name, because for any reason, if they found out about it, I'd be so upset. But there was a kid from our school who had a very quite distinct voice.
Ken Winkleman.
But yeah, I told you not to say it. And he doesn't really sound like that in real life, but it was just kind of this thing where we would make it, that's how his character was. He'd always sound like this, and he'd always talk a lot like this, and like he has like quite like something like stuck maybe like in the back of his throat a little bit, and then that's where I just thought, because I was so sick, and I was like, every time like I took a breath, there was just so much like clogged up in there that it just sounded funny to do that voice on top of it. But in terms of like where the character came from, I think we were in this, like Tom said, we were in this kind of this really good flow of like, the minute we thought of something funny, just the voice memo it, and like I think some of the funniest ones are ones where we've said stuff and then we just leave it on red and we just never talk about it again. We're like, that could be for another day. Like, that one's not hitting right now, but it might do in like a week or so.
And then visually, I was the Terry Wilkinson VO came in two. The animation is split up into two segments, and the first one he was reviewing, and then the second one Jacob threw in the fact that he's not well. So I listened to the first one. I instantly drew a version of Terry, and then when the ill came through, that's when he gained his bags, his sort of staring off into the middle distance look, and his grey skin. So
yeah, sort of layering up the character as you learnt more.
Yeah, the first drawing of him, he's very bright-eyed, and he originally had a Tom Baker scarf which got lost in the creation.
I think he does look like most Doctor Who YouTubers, though. As
which stage are we talking about?
Yeah,
I'm going to call them all out, call the whole fan base out, but
which we can do because we are the biggest Doctor Who nerds that I know.
Yeah.
So we are that.
That's what I say. Yeah, very much. Like, yeah, we took our own aesthetics basically.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's so good. I mean, what was it like? Because you were saying, Jacob, about typically writing in realism, and then almost sort of having that realization of animation. Like, did you feel like it's opened doors for writing, or do you feel like because there is so much possibility with writing for animations and live action that it's actually almost feeling more difficult or more limiting because of it? Like, how do you feel about that like animation, I can write for that now?
That's a really good point, because that was something I was thinking about just recently, because honestly, like, now it's getting like towards Christmas and stuff, like I have become a bit burnt out with the writing, because you do it, I do in my professional career, I'm a copywriter, so I'm going to work and doing writing, and then I'm coming home and I'm either like consuming something or I'm writing as well. So I felt like a little burnt out, and I think there was that high point where when I started coming to like the Brighton Animation Club and talking to everyone, it was like, there's these like endless possibilities of what I can write now. And at first, like when me and Tom were doing all these things together when we started off, it felt like really reinvigorating. It was like I can just kind of write now whatever I want, and hopefully there is someone out there who might resonate with it and be able to make it, either if it's an animation or something else. But I think that's a really good point as well. I think that's one of the reasons why I've burnt out, is because I think I got into that stance of like writing and then giving up and going, chase this idea, kind of became like the dog chasing cars and just not knowing what to do with it anymore, where I would start something and go, let's do this, and then I go, actually I've got this other idea that I really want to like tackle, and then you've got like 20 unfinished ideas, and then you kind of look at it and you do feel burnt out. And I think that's what I want to try and get back to, like in the start of the new year, is like honing in and like just trying to get stuff more done and not being overwhelmed with it. But I'd say there's definitely more positives than there are negatives to just having all those avenues, and like, and it's even not from just an output perspective, but just like being around other people who are really interested in different like modes of creative and filmmaking or just storytelling. I think you can never really be less of a writer when you're around more people and getting to understand how they kind of tell their stories and stuff. So I think it's more of a net positive than a net loss, I'd say.
Yeah, the burnout is so tough. It's definitely something I've been experiencing a lot lately with
yes,
trying to stay afloat on the 9 to 5 plus trying to keep sort of creative developments going. That's the madness that I'm trying to balance, which is a bit wild. How about you, Tom? How do you manage it?
We actually wanted to ask you about how you stay so motivated, because it's from the outside, it's kind of ridiculous your level of output.
This is hilarious. I have these conversations very frequently with people, and I'm always like, "Oh man, I'm not doing enough." Like every time, and they're just like,
"What?" Mental.
Yeah. You're mental.
Yeah. Apparently so. But it's so funny. Like I honestly, I look at what I'm doing, and I'm just like, "Oh, it's not really enough, is it?" Like genuinely, I'm not just being this twat. You know, I'm just like genuinely thinking. I feel like I need to be doing more, but it's nice to know that other people are looking in and going, "You're doing plenty, and it's fine." It's just nice. But I think what I think I fight boredom with making. I think is like my thing. So, for example, my commutes every day are between 3 and 5 hours every day on the weekdays. And so that's like sat on a bus commuting for that amount of time. And so I would bring my little iPad with me, and on that bus, when I've got nothing else to do, I would animate or draw. Yeah, so I guess that's what I do to keep making stuff. I just have those times where I can literally do nothing else.
It's
that's
like
really nice.
Yourself into a corner, isn't it? In a sense.
So.
Do you think then, like, if it was like hypothetically, if you got that kind of chance to work from home, like more often, or say like how a lot of people do now, which is like all the time, do you think you'd still be able to find yourself in those like bored kind of situations, or like be able to force yourself, or like find that kind of motivation to do it, or because I feel like that's what I get stressed out about, is the more I work from home, the more tempting it is to kind of almost avoid it, like procrastinate. Like I find procrastination like probably the biggest weakness that I have at the moment, is like I want to do other things than write, because I'm working the 9 to 5 and that's all writing. So when I come home, I'm like, I could write, but I have been writing for 7 hours already today, so I'm gonna watch a film or play Persona 5 for 6 hours, which is what I've been doing today, instead of where I could have probably wrote a decent 10-page short story in that time. But yeah, well, I mean, what do you think your thoughts are on that?
Yeah, I totally get it. When your job is the same thing that you want to be doing creatively, I think that's the big difference. Because I mean, my profession is teaching and lecturing, so like when before I was doing physics, so it was really different. And now I'm lecturing at film schools, so it's kind of like similar, but it's not the actual doing of it. Whereas with writing, if you're writing your job every day, and then you're like, now I get to do some writing, then I can imagine that being quite tough. Yeah. To be fair though, because before I was doing some freelance remote as well, for as an animator for another company, but the things they were getting me to do were like animations of like animals doing walk cycles, like load of motion graphics, things like that. So I don't know, I think with my mind I was able to kind of like categorize different activities, because I was like, man, I really don't want to be drawing cows right now, I really want to be drawing some crazy action sequences. So I would almost be getting frustrated when doing my 9 to 5 freelance remote job about this is animation, sure, but this isn't the animation I want to do, so I'd be getting annoyed. So maybe the weird advice here is get annoyed at what you are writing.
That's actually easy. No problem. I can do that.
I want to be doing this other stuff. Build the productivity from frustration.
I like
maybe
that.
That's the answer.
I've always found it to be such a difficult uphill climb to be motivated to work. It's like I definitely feel the first steps of inertia of getting that ball rolling, and then a brief month or two of actual productivity before the ball stops. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think the way that I get around like losing momentum as a project goes on is I get lots of people involved, and then I feel like I have to finish it.
That's great.
That's actually a good idea.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And then you're like, if I don't finish it, all these people's works are going to go to waste, and I would feel terrible about that.
Yeah.
So that's
genuine responsibility.
That's it.
Yeah.
I have to finish it because everyone's counting on me to finish this.
I think that's a good point, because I think that's like when me and Tom were working on stuff together, like beforehand. Like I think there was that push of that as well, where like if I wrote something or come up with an idea, then or vice versa, Tom had drawn something and it was for something that we wanted to do, I'd feel more obligated to like be able to like it's that part of like being able to be like, I don't want to let these people down because I'm working on it, but you also feel a bit more like you get to show something off to other people as well. You're like, look, I'm contributing too, like we're working on this together. Whereas I think that's probably why I've stopped and started so many things, because it's kind of like it's just me reviewing it. I read it and I'm like, well, I'm not sure, no one else is seeing this until it's either an end product or there's something else that other people can work on. Where I think having those talks with like, I think definitely in animation as well, having those talks of like what characters might look like, or how the world will look like whilst you're writing it, helps a lot as well, because then you're getting like way more input about, and it helps you write as well if you understand like what the character looks like. You go, I can see a voice coming out of this person a lot easily. I can understand the dialogue that this person might be saying compared to just like what's in my head at the time of writing it. Yeah
Well, that's really nice. I think having like that other skill set that someone can bring in that you can then almost bounce off of is such a nice workflow. How do you do the same thing, Tom? I presume you do. When you like hear a voice from Jacob, let's say, you're just like, right, visual, there it is. You can just sort of gain that.
It's just a really nice starting point where I can hear the voices and then base characters and then base the characters off of that, and it's basically just like batting the ball back with a funny, strange little character.
Yeah.
To then, I don't know, start the rally.
Yeah, of this bizarre, ironic character that just has sicknesses, ailments, ambitions that won't last.
Yes.
All the dark humour rolled into one.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that we said we wanted to do as well, where this is like a really good example of it, like just podcasting or having like audio recording of it, where if you just record yourself in a room talking about ideas and then listen back to it, I feel like that helps a lot as well, because having to sit there and like actually write it down, kind of almost, even if it's on a computer, it feels like it's been inked in, and it feels like, oh, okay, well, that's either good or bad. Whereas if you just have like kind of a rambling tangent of like an audio voice, like what if we did this, or what if this happened, and then listening back on it, I always feel like that really helps as well, because nothing's like definite, nothing's like been completely written. They're just ideas like kind of bouncing back and forth, which I think's really helped. Yeah,
definitely. I feel like you're always making progress as well, even if it's just like a goofy like mind map brainstorm with each other. That's fun. I mean, Tom, how did you first get into animation actually?
It was at college. I'd always played around making animations on my laptop and doing stop motion with what is it called?
What was it like? It was like Pivot Stick Animator or something. That's where loads of people get into it.
Pivot.
Yes.
Wait, keep talking.
He's gonna find out exactly what it is.
The amount of lightsaber fights I made in Pivot Stick Animation at school was crazy.
It's iconic. Apparently, it's recently had like a big overhaul. Because some of my students were saying, "Oh, sir, I've just been getting into animation. I'm using this software called Stick Pivot Animator." I'm like, "Yes, here we go, OG." But apparently, it's had an overhaul.
I remember when everyone had the Go Animate hype. I remember that got really big for a while.
I don't know this one.
That was one that it was like they were all pre-made for you, so you didn't actually have to animate anything. You would just like stick an already like animated character into a scene, and then it would have like features like walk, cycle, left, and then it would do it. And then all you have to do is like record the audio of their faces. And then I remember so many people at school being like, "Yo, check out look at this animation I made," and I'd be like, "You didn't make this." Like,
I had a similar thing where it was Art Attack had a software where you could animate on, and you just drag around these GIFs on a page, and it would record the motion.
That's so cool.
And it would come with a series
of these, like, really like intro softwares that you can get. That they are animation, but it's obviously not the process of thinking about how you're going to do it. But it's.
I tell you what,
gateway.
The thing I did first start my animation on was Microsoft Paint brought into PowerPoint.
No way.
Yeah, and then I would fade between the frames. Yeah.
That is incredible.
I think the first thing I ever animated was a Batman parody, probably called Fat Man or something like that.
How many slides was?
Let's say a frame rate of -3.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
-3.
Yeah.
Going back in time.
Yes.
Oh dang.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, does it? 0.1. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But
That's still amazing though. I love that.
But yeah, basically, yeah, I was always been creative, and then at college, we were taught Flash, and it just so happened Flash, which is now Animate. I just realised I was a lot better at it than everyone else in the class, and then I thought this is something I could actually do. And then, yeah, went to Portsmouth and fell in love with it properly.
Did you, when you were studying it at Portsmouth, did you like go further into Flash or Animate, or did you like? I'm presuming that you explored loads of different mediums.
Yeah. I think I'd probably say I got most into 3D. I learned Maya and just fell in love with like super stylized sort of PlayStation 1 level. Do you know the animator Aaron Halali? He does really nice little bits, and I just basically ripped him off for 2.5 years.
But you've got. I think this is what I say to all my students: is like, whenever you're starting to like find a style, it's like just try and copy someone you really like, and then just keep going until you eventually find your own way of doing it, and naturally it'll become your own thing, which you've clearly done with your work, because it's so like, I do feel like it's really unique. I know that you jump around lots of different mediums of 2D and 3D, but they all still have that very kind of minimal line work style, very kind of really nice consistent colour palettes as well.
Yeah, the problem with being a generalist, which is what I think I am, is it's kind of difficult to stay on a track of my own style. I just linger so much that it to me it starts to be like, well, this is just, I just feel like this is ever so slightly a mess of work.
Yeah, I found that because I was sort of working as a generalist for ages, and then that's why I was just like, no, I've got to make this. I'm working on a feature film called You Just Love a Game with these very stylized characters and dynamicness, and I was like, I'm just going to lean in to that, and just that's what I'm going to do in my spare time, and then all my professional work can be generalist stuff. But it's, I found that so tricky, because it's like, how do you market yourself as well? I found that really tough. As generalist, it's like, makes you stand out thing. It is tough, but there's definitely a consistency in your stuff though, so I wouldn't. I definitely think people would know what they're getting.
I've definitely made an effort to try and keep it somewhat consistent. Just setting up same limits on everything, basically. Nice block colours and only using gradients sparingly.
Have you two been working on anything lately?
Oof.
Oh no!
The,
Oh no!
The most recent thing I've been working on is actually the mascot for what is going to be the next animation club.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh cool.
Yeah. Which is still a work in progress as we talk.
Nice.
But I mean, the original plan was to have it done for tomorrow, but I guess if it's all cancelled, then
take it easy.
Yeah, just sit on my arse again. But as for us two, I mean, so we live together now, and there seems to be every day we're just shouting weird stuff at each other.
Nice.
I guess we're not recording it anymore, so we're probably coming up with less ideas, but we have an epic in the works.
Ooh,
featuring Ringo Starr, and we don't really have any time set for how long it's going to take. We just want to do it before he dies. Yeah, because then it won't be funny.
That's the that's the
It'll
deadline.
be sad. We'll have to wait 5 years then to release it.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so
as soon as he gets admitted to hospital,
kick a mother down.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's true.
Better get on that. Oh my word.
Yeah, I think that's true. Is that we don't really need to now send memos to each other because we're usually in the same room at the same time doing it. I think probably that would be the good thing, is that we're like we maybe like put time aside where we're just talking and recording. Like that would probably be the next step. But I mean, from my perspective, like that we've got the Ringo thing that we wanted to work on, and we want to keep it like in not the same, I guess, kind of the same universe as Terry Wilkinson, where they're not like necessarily like all connected through like a story, but they all kind of consist in a same similar world where everything's a bit twisted and not all completely right.
I think we agreed that it all takes place in the same valley.
Yeah.
And that's why we called our YouTube channel Rat King Valley, one word. That's Rat King Valley, one word. Yeah. And then I've got a illustrated document that I just had open where it's just plagued with loads of little character ideas and any just doodling, just doing digital doodles, which I keep giving, like fleshing out in my own headcanon what Rat King Valley is. Like I've drawn up people that work in the garden centre, or what the entrance to the valley looks like, and
and we have like a massive Google Doc on my computer, which has like, I think now over like 60 different like sketches that like I think I went through them. We highlighted the ones that we would probably potentially actually follow through with and like get into like an actual maybe script, or like actually get some recording down for it. So there are ones there. And I mean, I think for me, I'm actually, now when it gets to around this time every year, I'm always kind of like, I'm just going to take it quite chill. I think just my mindset kind of goes into like child Christmas mode, where I'm like, I do kind of just like the dressing gown, chill out, catch up with stuff that I haven't been watching, or like catch up with games that I haven't played, just so that I'm starting like the new year not burnt out. I don't want to end the year like writing something and just being like, I need to get this done before the end of the year. I like to start
taxes around
that too.
No, I think that's a really nice way of doing it though, like just having like a big massive doodle page where you're kind of generating this whole world of characters, because they can all spawn ideas from those, or you can build those connections when you just sort of lay them all out, and the context of where they are with each other as well. Like you're just building up this massive pool of potential. It's such a nice workflow. I think what you need now is like a big physical white or blackboard in your house where you can just write ideas to each other.
Yeah.
I think that's what you need, because then it's there and it's in front of you, and you can either go yes or no.
I can't believe this. I cannot. That a whiteboard is what I'm getting Jacob for Christmas.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'd love a whiteboard, because we've got sticky notes, but it's not the same. I love having. When I used to have a whiteboard like that, I didn't have it for. It was before I even got really into writing, but I remember having one just like actually like nailed into my wall, like a huge like school whiteboard. And I remember like being able to like focus on stuff way easier when I had that there all the time, because I would literally just start like, it's kind of like you kind of just like are drawn to it like very easily, because it's so easy just to like jot something down super quick and get it on there. That's a really good idea. Yeah, I'd actually love a whiteboard. Yeah.
Well, hopefully Santa Tom does his bit.
Gets me a chalk.
Any spoilers.
Gets me a chalkboard.
Yeah, A4.
A4 chalkboard.
Yeah, no chalk.
No
Blood.
Just board. Yeah.
Board with blood. Amazing. Yeah, I think that's what you need. I think as soon as you have that kind of physical thing between you, you can then be like, right, yeah, yes, no. The whole like Simon Pegg, Edgar Wright writing process.
Yeah,
That's got to be the way.
Because I've seen pictures of your nest that you're currently in.
Indeed.
Yeah. Is
What
that
a
your?
bombshell.
Is that the animation room?
No. Well, sometimes. Yeah, my workspace is an interesting one. It's a very small room that I think was once a cupboard. In one corner is a skeleton.
That's the previous
Steve.
occupant. Yeah.
He was actually a prop in a short film I did called Tide of Ghosts. And he's famed actor. Starred in the Amazon Prime Tide of Ghosts. He's right there now. But yeah, in every direction and angle around me is like a different creative station. Like I've got a compositing station, webcam station, an audio station, got a spray painting station, and 3D printers, and random film equipment stations. That, and it's so small that all I have to do is spin around and I'm at each of these stations.
That's really nice.
It somewhat is. It is rather cramped. But most of my animation doesn't happen here. It's usually on the bus or on the sofa or on some kind of tablet. It's just so much easier. I just love being able to sort of move around to draw and coming up with ideas and things like that.
I do remember the first time I got the luxury of having an iPad with the Apple Pen, and I was drawing on the train, and it just opened my whole world.
Yes.
To the possibilities that I can animate on the go.
Yeah. Oh, I started, and I still use here and there, like Samsung's Android ones. Because you can, my main software is Clip Studio Paint when it comes to illustration, and it just runs on everything. So I could be working on something on the go, and then I get it as good as it can be, and I send it to the computer, make sure that the timing, because it plays back better on a computer, it's all good, export it on there, retime it in After Effects, send it back to the tablet, and then do all the colouring wherever I want to go. It's a lovely workflow.
Yeah. How is the short film? Because I know Jacob did some voice acting.
Oh
right?
yes. So it's it's coming together. The original, so it's still being made. This is for those of you who haven't been following along. I'm making a short animated film. I say short loosely, in 21 days. It is aiming to be under 15 minutes long, illustrative animation, and it's called Empireless. And it's coming together well. We're sort of rounding off day 9 of 21, because I'm not doing it consecutively. I'm adding the hours up to make 8-hour days from here and there when I'm on the bus And yeah, it's good. We're almost on the ending sequence right now. So I'm on shot 123 of 237. But it's good fun though, actually. Especially, I love animating action. So getting to the action parts, spoilers, towards the end is it's so much fun. I love that dynamic movement. Yeah.
21 days for 15 minutes, right?
That is correct. Yes.
That's 42 seconds per day.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, my goal is to try and get 17 shots done every day, like every 8 hours. So like I'm being very, very.
And you're questioning if you're doing enough.
I didn't get dressed today.
What? What are you talking about? 42 seconds per day. Just make it 22 at least.
Bring it down to 40.
Yeah.
40 seconds. But yeah. No, it's coming together, which is good. We've got an amazing team on board, Jacob included. I'm still, once I get a couple of, so I'm doing like all the main character animation stuff first, and then I've got like loose drawings of how the background's going to be laid out, and I'm going to be sending those off when I get a moment to various other illustrators and artists. I know, Tom, you were like, oh, I'd like to give that a go as well.
Yes.
I can send over some things. Yeah, we're sort of going to get everyone kind of collabing together, building up on this project. Again, it's one of those things where you get so many people on board that you're like, right, I have to finish this. But we were originally trying to get it done sort of November in time to submit it to Brighton's Animation Film Festival. But by the sounds of things, Kate, the one who runs it, wants to say bugger off with regards to anything longer than 6 minutes. When I was telling her it was thanks, she was like just shaking her head at me like,
oh, okay.
I was like, oh, great.
I guess you do what they do in Dune and Wicked.
Yes.
And just make it part 1.
Yeah. A really boring part 1.
Yeah.
And a really good part 2.
All set up.
Yeah. That might have to be the way. 2 separate submissions. Double my submission fee to film festivals.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if only part 2 got in everywhere. Though.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah. Whereas part 1 gets panned. Yeah.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. Oh dear. But yeah, no, it's coming together, and yeah, I've got these weird ways of coming up with ideas. There was like there's a Japanese way where you can work out what your dream job is. They're called like ikigais. It's kind of like a way of working out what is a healthy dream job for you, and I kind of repurposed it for creative projects so that it's like a 4-way Venn diagram where you've got, things you'd like to make in one of them, things that you have resources to is another one. Another one is what the world needs to hear, so messages that you want the world to hear. And the last one is what the world wants to hear, so that you know that you can sell it or at least get people to want to watch it. And then I just divergently think and fill each of those Venn diagram pieces, and then from there I use music, and like you're doing when you draw lots of different characters, to just come up with all these different potential catalysts to then bring some of those different parts of that Venn diagram together until I get a load of different ideas. And that's how
that's great.
I come up with ideas that I know that they'll sell or do well somewhere. It's a very mathematical, physics person way of coming up with ideas, but it works. Especially good if you want to ever like distribute something, because then you know there's a market for it.
Right. That's true. Yeah, that's my way. Is I hear a funny recording and I just fully go in and start animating.
Thing is, I love that so much more.
No
that
thought.
process is so good and natural as well. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on that kind of sense, like, do you have like a favourite project that you'd want to do, Tom? Like, is there something you're like in the back of your mind you've always been like, man, that would be the dream?
I spent a long time wondering if I should do a master's and what animation I would do for that, because I knew it was for the masters. It was just you do one essay and then one animation, so you can put all your time into it. And I thought of an idea which I then ended up writing with some other uni friends. This is when it wasn't going to be that, and it's like, I guess it would be a short film of about 10 minutes about a woman who rides a cow and has a daughter. Wait, we're not going to go through the whole plot.
You don't have to.
Anyway, there's an idea that I've wanted to do for ages, and it just hasn't happened. But it's being saved.
There is something. There is something brewing.
Yeah, it's nice, and it's got a nice
It's got a cow in it.
idea, and it's got a nice sort of emotion behind it.
I love that. I love like when you've got something which is like the idea is formed around an emotion. That is like the stuff that gives me goosebumps. I'm just like, I have to feel that. I think there was like, for example, Empireless. I think a big part of its inspiration. Oh no, I remember what it was, but it was a combination of two things. I'm not sure if either of you have seen Chainsaw Man.
Oh, I love Chainsaw Man. Yeah.
Amazing. That scene, slight spoilers, where Aki pulls out the sword, and it's like 3, 2, 1, and he's getting this katana guy. It's like the energy in the level of panic in trying to make sure this works, because if it doesn't, you're screwed. I loved that, and there was something. Actually, that's right. Yes, that's right. It was so I was working on the feature film which has a massive sword fight sequence in it, and I was watching a compilation of sword fight sequences in anime and animation, just to get like loads of ideas of like how people show weight in sword movements and stuff. And there was one scene in it where like my brain made up what the story would be, because I hadn't seen the context of one of the shots, and it just gave me this emotion which I was like, oh, like they're doing something, like it's their last resort, and they're doing anything they can, no matter what damage happens to their body, they are trying to make sure they do. And I was like, that is such a gritty feeling that's so specific, and my brain just made up this fake feeling that this character might have been going through, and then based the whole story around that. And it was sort of somewhere between those two things. My brain just went, and that was the idea. So yeah, finding an emotion to like draw into the main premise of an idea, I think is, and if you can capture it, that's like the dream for me anyway. How about you, Jacob? Do you have like a dream either project or a dream character or voice you're like, I've always wanted
absolutely
to do this?
I mean, from like there's like the easy answer, which is like, I feel like as a writer, like the thing I'd love to do is work on like the word's completely blanked on me now, but like in a think tank writing kind of like for a script, like when you do like TV shows and stuff, like a writer's room, sorry, that's the one. Well, I'd love to be, that would be the dream job, would be able to sit with like 10 other people on like a TV show that I'm passionate about, and be able to just like come up with episode ideas for something, like especially if it was something like that I grew up with, or I have like a really fond love for like the characters and story. My dream like thing I've always wanted to write is I've always really wanted to write horror more than anything else. I feel like horror and comedy kind of work very well the same way, like getting like very specific emotions out of people when you write them. There's no, when you get comedy, there's that there's like a certain kind of response to it, the same way you kind of get it with horror as well. And I've always really wanted to do this horror, which is about this kind of like, I won't give up too much, but like this idea of being very isolated in a place, and kind of like I've always find like the scariest dreams are the ones where you can't really like get out of somewhere. Like you keep opening a door, you keep ending up where you are, like you can't walk properly, like there's almost like this weird feeling of like you're kind of hovering, kind of floating. And I've always wanted to try and kind of like what you're saying, like what something like The World Wants to Hear is like, trying to find out what I could do in reality that like makes that kind of like an actual story, like instead of it just being like a weird dream sequence, like tying it to something that you could apply to like real life, whether it's like actually like just being tired all the time, or just like sleep paralysis, or something that like I feel like a lot of people would just find interesting to watch. But I'd always really like to write a horror. In terms of voice acting, yeah, give me any like Crunchyroll dub job to be on Chainsaw Man or anything in that that ballpark. That would be a dream. Like anything like that. I've just been like recently playing Persona 5, and listening to all the voice actors in that have so much fun, and you can really tell that they're enjoying what they do. I think that would be just like the perfect thing to work, especially working on video games, where a lot of it is also just kind of like dialogue that might just be heard in the background, like as NPCs and stuff. I feel like I really wanted to be an actor before I went into writing. That was what I was doing up until like end of I want to say like just as I started A level, like I really wanted to do it. And then when I started to find out about voice acting, the idea of being able to just be characters and kind of escape into those like headspaces, and especially like stuff like Chainsaw Man's a great example, or even things like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. These like really, really big characters that have so much personality and life to them, and I think that would just be like a really fun like world and realm to like work in, for sure. Yeah,
I suppose you've got to start writing characters that you know have that opportunity for you just to like just go. I think because I do that as well. So like, for example, in Empire there is this demon character, and as they kind of like get more excited about getting more control and being more violent, it was just like, right, and I'd love to voice act that, so I'm gonna do it. You know, you just sort of write yourself these characters, and you can have so much fun. You're like, I want to do that, I'll write it. And that's, I suppose, the wonderful place that you're in. Like you can write what you want to express. I suppose.
And you made a really good point earlier, where like sometimes you just get a feeling for something, like whether you're watching something else, like especially with music or like specific scenes in shows, I'm always like, oh, what if that was like the whole thing itself? Like what if this one scene kind of is its own story, not just like a throwaway joke in this one show. And I love being able to like either just listen to something, or just think of something, write it down, and be like, let's try and build something out of this. Having those like specific shots, or like whether it's like a character moving, or just like a line of dialogue that you think is really cool, you're like, there's definitely something you can pick away at there. Those are always like the best experiences, because you know it comes from somewhere like completely genuine, I feel, as well, which is always really nice. Yeah, you're not just like, I want to copy that shot. It's like, no, there's an emotion that I feel. No, I totally get that. I'm probably going to jump us into our roundup questions for the show.
Oh, cool.
So I've got these kind of 3 questions which I kind of ask everybody. So it'd be nice to know what you guys have got. The first one I think is probably the hardest one. So apologies for this, but is there any advice you would like to give a younger you?
I guess the go-to one is draw as much as you can.
Ooh.
If you don't know how to draw, you'll spend your life trying to work around that. That's not my advice. I think that came from Soul Bass.
And I think to add to that, something which I've seen from my students is, don't just draw, Like, because I see so many students just drawing exact copies of references. It's draw it, sure, but then draw it from a different perspective, or try to, and it's okay if it's bad. Just try and change
it's not.
it somewhere.
It has to be perfect every single time, or you must give up.
Yeah.
If you fail, just leave.
Yes. Yeah, that's so that one's your advice, Tom. Your advice is if you fail, leave. Give up instantly.
Yeah.
Amazing. How about you, Jacob?
Mine's kind of on a similar line, which is like, I would tell myself, you're going to make shit work. You're going to make work that's not very good, and you need to get that backbone of knowing that it's not good and just getting over it. I think definitely when I first started writing, I thought that it had to either be like semi-decent off the get-go. It has to be like a finished idea at least. Like, you have to have at least a beginning, middle, or end, or you've got to have like something interesting in it. And a lot of the time, like I think once I got over that at uni, especially when I wrote something and someone was like, "You're a good writer, but this is shit." Like, that helps, because it makes you realise like you. And again, it kind of then goes. It's kind of like I guess it's a bit of a long-winded answer, but it's accept that it's shit and just move on and just keep doing it, because eventually you will get better, and there's no deadline on like when you finally crack it. It's just about persevering with it. Don't be afraid.
I really like that phrase though. You know, you're a good writer, but this is shit. I think that's actually really useful. I know that you said it's a long-winded way of saying it, but that in particular, I think, is something really nice to take away, because it helps sort of establish that resilience as well. Like, people have got to realise that, you know, there is potential in what you're doing, and even if what you're doing at the time isn't it, there is that potential. So don't give up. Sorry, Tom, to completely go against your own advice there, but hopefully it's something for anyone listening to sort of bear in mind. Is it can be bad, but it doesn't mean that you're bad.
Yeah,
you
you can't get worse. That's the main takeaway from it. Is you can only get better. So
but it's also that thing with maybe you make something that's really good, and you're like, the next thing isn't as good. Like, you're still learning and you're still developing. Like the individual projects, they may fluctuate, but you are always getting better. I think it's something else that I know that I've had fears with before, when I've made something which I was like, wow, that perfectly expressed what I'm about, but now I've got to make something else. Oh gosh, but you just keep going. You just don't stop. That's great. I love those. So I suppose our next one is, you might have answered this sort of, but what do you have planned next is what I've got here, because we've heard loosely about potential projects that you're starting to build, but have you got something else in the pipeline specific, or are you just kind of sort of stabbing for that idea with your mini blackboard, whiteboards? Where you at?
Jacob is blocking out a script for the sitcom we were writing, which was mentioned earlier.
Ah, cool. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think like I said, like around this year, I try and give myself a rest, and what I want to do is I want to kick off. I want to get at least one good, decent draft that everyone's happy with by like early next year. Like, I don't want to put a specific deadline, but if I was thinking like end of February, I'd like to have like a nice polished script for that, because it's something that, like, when we're talking about projects I'd really like to do, that's generally one of them. It's such a cool idea, like one that I won't say much about, because it's like, I think it really has legs, and it's really interesting characters, and like a really nice, charming kind of world that we've made. And every time there's so many times you write stuff, and then when you look back at it, you're like, actually, I'm glad I didn't go with this, because I can probably, this is probably just like a very quick idea I wrote down. Every time I go back to this idea, I'm always like, there's such good potential there to have fun with it. So that's definitely what I was chipping away at it like throughout a lot of last year, and then kind of really hit a home run with most of it towards like the end of October. and then hopefully I can just like wrap it up and get it done like early next year, and then we can just start kicking off like where we can take it from there.
Then
That's
I can
awesome.
pull it apart.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then then it'll be one of the ones that goes, "You're a good writer, Jacob, but this is shit."
What is
What
this?
is this?
And then Tom will say, give
Give
up.
up. Yeah, well, you should just give up.
No, we were talking about the other project. You've written the wrong thing.
You've been writing this for months, and you've been writing the wrong one.
Oh, amazing. Well, whichever project you're talking about, I'm looking forward to
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
That's wicked. And that brings us to our very last question, which is probably the easiest. Where can people find you?
We don't really have a joint account apart from on YouTube, which is Rat King Valley, one word. It has one video on, which is the Terry character that we've been referencing. I should have
Excellent.
probably given context before.
That's alright. People can, it'll be a little screen on for people to see, but also
Yeah.
they should absolutely go check it out and hear it as well as see it.
Yes.
That's great, yeah.
But my Instagram is _Tom_Sharp. If
Yeah,
anyone's-
I was going to say, yeah, Rat King Valley is pretty much the only thing like out there that I've got like openly showing my creative, but I have very strong film opinions on Instagram from time to time. So it's an awful way I've spelled it. It's like Jacob but without all the vowels in it. So I'll just leave it. I'll leave it in the description so people can judge me in the
amazing.
comments later on. But hopefully, like
Fantastic.
hopefully I'd like to get like a website, like a blog going at some point, but that can be to be continued. But yeah, Rat King Valley,
yeah.
Rat King Valley for sure.
Let's bring
Awesome.
Tumblr back.
Let's bring Tumblr back. It never left.
Yeah.
It just got bad. Sorry, Tumblr fans. Sorry, don't mean that. Don't mean that.
Amazing.
Or a DeviantArt.
Oh yes.
Terry Wilkinson, Rule 34.
No.
Should we start it? We should just draw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
given
Create a
given that
fan
this
base.
is like,
Yeah.
given this is like a sick dying child,
Oh no.
I don't think
No.
that's a wise move.
We got so close to getting through it all without doing something awful.
It had to happen. It had to happen at some point. Well, it was lovely talking to both, or do I say singular, of you. I hope you enjoyed your amalgamation of blended strawberry, Reese's Pieces, no liquid, through a straw.
It was
Sure.
delicious.
Yeah.
I got through my advent calendar chocolate blended milkshake, filled with reminiscent feelings of nostalgia and Christmasness. And I hope you both have a break and a reset, and get over that burnout. And I hope I will as well. And we'll all come back punching in the new year. But,
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was lovely chatting with you guys. And,
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, hopefully chat again soon.
Yeah.
Sweet.
absolutely.
Great.